You change my background.
Yeah, Morior does not really fit.
Let's see. Kyle's kind of like, he'll come on if we are short, but if we're like an hour already, then he's like, nah, because he doesn't want me to edit the entire weekend. So he doesn't care.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Mountain Lake. That's PNW enough, right? I want to know.
Yeah, no, I'll explain more in the mid-break.
Okay.
Why he is number 3. It actually has nothing to do with the player character. It's more of his voice actor.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, I know you didn't play this game. I haven't either. I just have seen it played so much. He keeps playing it, even though he's beat it like 5 times.
Okay, but also that is me. I have played Baldur's Gate 3 5 times and I've beat it.
In your defense, you can do different things every time, though. This doesn't have that.
Oh, wait, but that's also me with Witcher. I've beaten The Witcher like 5 times.
Don't you have like player choice in there too, kind of?
Yes.
Maybe not as extensive as Baldur's Gate 3, but to my knowledge, there's really no changes across. I don't think you really choose anything in this game. It's just how it is. Like Red Dead Redemption, kind of, that type of thing. Like, yeah, you might not do a side quest here or there, but the main story is the same no matter what. I don't really think there's much of a choice. At least as far as I remember. Oh, we're live.
We are live.
I just saw the email. I promptly got an ad to my own stream.
Hello, Sandy B. Queen.
Oh, that's my friend from boot camp. Like since boot camp. Hello, friend. Give your babies a smooch from me. Damn, I'm just thinking about it right now. That means we've been friends for like 13 and a half years. Crazy. I'm ready.
I am not.
Oh, just kidding. Okay.
I needed like 2 more sentences. Oh, also I inserted an audio clip to intro my scene. And then
I wasn't sure about that because I feel like most of it was so random and not audio. It was visual for a lot of it, but I mean, you are allowed to do whatever you want to do.
Very visual, but I love the sound in the background and it works into what I was saying. And yeah, I need it. I want it. It's there. That brings us to 12 fucking audio clips for this episode.
For this game. Okay, to be fair,
12 minutes. 12 minutes of audio. That is so long.
I want to say this again at some point in the episode, but this game has 6 hours worth of cutscenes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. I tried, but like I felt like all of them were necessary. I think this game is like a 40, 50 hour game too. So that's a very significant period of just cutscenes.
Yeah.
not like spoken, because there's plenty of conversations and things that happen while you're just driving around that aren't cutscenes.
Okay. We are about. Okay. Ad break starts in 42 seconds, and then we will start after that. Ooh, hey, you.
My normal wine was out of stock at Costco, and I'm not sure about this one.
It's not the dishwater one, is it?
It's not as bad as that. Oh boy.
My God, that shitty wine. Seattle wine.
The absolute freaking gutter trash I had in Seattle. That was the worst wine I've ever had in my entire life. Ugh. And I want them to know it, but I'm too nice to ever say that to their face. So this is not far from it though. Maybe it needs to breathe. Just gonna let it sit there for a minute. It's wild how different wine can taste, especially the same kind of wine. Like I only buy Cabernet Sauvignon, and I don't know. It's wild. Hello, my sweet bear. Meh, meh, meh. What's on your face? Nothing. Paper. Like my kid cut up a bunch of paper, and he got some stuck to his nose.
Aw, that's kind of cute.
Meh, meh. Yeah, I got scared for a second. I was like, "What's on your face?" Oh, nothing really. Benign paper.
So
Shh.
Oh, I heard that, so that's good. We should have probably checked that.
Oh yeah, nothing's changed recently, but I wanted it open because there's always a delay. If I don't do. Oh yeah, hey. I should start recording. If we're gonna do a podcast, let's do a podcast. Holy shit.
Don't meow. Don't forget to record our. Yep. That I think is what you're talking about. Hi.
I go.
It's rubbing off on you.
The I go, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Rubbed off on me. Dude, you know what sucks is like having such a huge part of my life having been a Korean linguist, but then no one in my current life knew me as that. So I'll just randomly, Aigo, and people are like, watch too many K-dramas. I'm like, no, actually. It's just a habit because I was so intensively taught Korean that I feel like a tiny part of me became Korean for like a year and a half. That's the only language we really spoke day in and day out.
For me, because like for me, my biggest ones are Spanish terminology that are just so ingrained. But because it was really only directed at me, I almost always use the female versions of words.
As you should.
But like
power.
But that's not how the language works. I
know. I took 2 years of Spanish in high school and barely remember anything. And 1 semester of French, which I remember a lot more of for some reason. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Hello, Apollo. I feel like we haven't seen you in forever.
Right?
I think everyone got sick of Baldur's Gate and we're like, I'm sorry, there's so much. Hopefully no one, I'm not entirely sure how people feel about this game because if you go online, it's really split. It's like some people are really like, oh man, it's never got a fair shake. It's such a good game. And other people are like, piece of shit, Sony game. Hate it. Hope it dies. Never see it again. So I'm like, I'm not really sure how people feel about it. I don't think it's that bad, honestly. Oh, 2 weekends. Were you at a concert somewhere? Because that would track if you were seeing music somewhere. Anyway, we could probably start.
I was like, let's get going.
I figured the ad break was over by now.
Yes. Okay. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Ship, the podcast where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. I'm Genesis, the girl who has ranked tonight's PC as number 3 in a very specific list. I'll explain more in the mid-break.
This will also be explained to me because I don't know what this list is. This is me. I'm Vervada, the girl who has no particular feelings of tonight's player character. So yeah, I am actually way more of a fan of his wife, but we'll talk about that.
So if you're new here, welcome to the Beautiful Chaos. You should also know that our podcast centers on character and romance analysis and doesn't shy away from exploring the fun of fucking.
Or from the deep emotional connections built between two or more characters, although tonight's just two, using specific in-game dialogue. So if you want to stay spoiler-free, then this is not the podcast for you.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Thanks for the spoiler alert, N7. And just like with all of our previous episodes, we'll assume that you have some background knowledge of the game and character in question, but we will be providing context for those of you who may be unfamiliar.
Today, maybe this will make you happy, listener. Maybe it won't. But we're finally not in Faerun anymore. We're not even in the Forgotten Realms. We're on Earth, in the state of Oregon, in the mountains near Bend, kind of, sort of. You travel around a lot in this game. You start out in a little town called Farewell. It's a quiet mountain town with a church, train tracks, and lots of backcountry roads. Nearby, in another little town called Iron Butte, a research facility with very tight security opened up called Cloverdale, and that brought some new people to the surrounding sleepy towns. Today's pairing is unlikely, but it persisted nonetheless. An incredibly smart young woman with a PhD in botany and a compassionate hero streak. And a high school dropout turned mountaineer turned biker gang enforcer met and fell in love. It all started with the impossible, a man asking for directions. This episode is on the relationship between Deacon St. John and Sarah Whitaker in Days Gone.
Hey,
Hey,
so I'm sort of lost. I was hoping you could help me out.
I'm sorry, you're lost?
Yeah, I'm looking for the old Belknap Road, and there's not a lot of signs around here.
You gotta be kidding me.
Nope.
What? What is it? What? Oh, it's great. That is just perfect. That is great. That is great.
So about those directions?
I'm really sorry. I don't know where Belknap,
Belknap?
Belknap, that's the one. And I don't know where it is. I really can't help you. I'm sorry.
So no, then?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thanks anyway.
Hey! All right.
Could you use a ride?
Yes, I could. Thank you for finally offering. I'm Sarah.
I'm Deacon.
Oh, well, sorry about the mess. I don't. How do I? This contraption.
Pretty much what you think. Just throw your leg over. Yeah.
Okay. There. Whoa. Okay. Ready. Hey! Hey!
Hold on tight.
So, this is the first time that Deacon and Sarah ever meet, and it really sets the tone for their eventual relationship. Sarah's car is broken down on the side of the road, and Deacon stops to assist, but he has to do so with a certain level of sass. This carries over into their relationship and later into their marriage. But first, let's tell you some background context on these two characters. Days Gone has gotten somewhat of a bad rap, not unlike Mass Effect Andromeda. But it's not a bad game. Deacon is the player character, but this is not an RPG like most of the games that we discuss. This is a narrative, open world, third-person shooter game. And essentially every character has a developed personality that isn't influenced by our choices. You know, after Baldur's Gate 3, we decided to fully flip the script and go with a predetermined relationship game. Give our brains a break.
I stupidly thought it wouldn't take that much time to write about because of that, and I still scrambled to the last minute to get the script done. So part of that was my day job sucked this week. The other part of it was there's a lot more to talk about than I initially thought, which is kind of my entire theme with this podcast. But back to Deacon and Sarah. First off, Deacon. Deacon was born sometime in the early 1980s and grew up in Farewell, Oregon. As a kid and teen, he would hop on the freight trains going through his town on the Cascade rail lines for fun. Something about train tracks and delinquent youth, am I right? So when he gets into high school, he sucks academically, and he eventually drops out. The war machine picks him up. He enlists in the army, later serving a full tour of duty in Afghanistan. He climbed to glory in the 10th Mountain Division, and while he served with distinction, he hated being in the military. I mean, like, same kind of, like many of my fellow service members, he was attacked and thoroughly traumatized by the deaths of his squad mates. And it doesn't say in the game, he was probably medically discharged for PTSD. And after that, he returned to the US as a civilian. He bought a motorcycle, as one does, and just drifted from place to place.
He was eventually pulled back to Farewell. The magnetism of familiarity that many small towns have called him home. He got a job as a mechanic in a local motorcycle shop, and the owner, Jack, was the president of the Mongrels Motorcycle Club. Jack eventually offered Deacon a membership to the MC and became an enforcer. So yeah, if you've ever seen Sons of Anarchy, it's kind of like that, but with zombies. I mean, eventually. The outbreak hasn't happened yet. Once Deacon was a member of the MC, he met Boozer, another member of the club, and the two became close friends, eventually thinking of each other as brothers. And this is where Deacon is at when he meets Sarah. Sarah is from Seattle and has some normal middle-class parents, a sister named Emma, and has recently moved to the tiny mountain town of Iron Butte, near Farewell, because of a job. Sarah is a botanist, a really good one, and she's working on some really cool things in her secret lab. Literally, Cloverdale is full of proprietary things.
Yeah, she has like a clearance and everything. It's kind of funny. So the first clip that we played was the first time that Sarah and Deacon met. And like Jen said, Sarah's car was broken down on the side of the road. You see Sarah trying to fix her own car, getting oil on her face as she speaks to Deacon. Deacon never offers help, notably, but he is there when she does ask for it herself. I think that's like a nice little dynamic. It would have been way too easy to make him this like swooping in white knight trying to help her when she didn't actually need that much help, but she did need help. She asked for it. He gives her a ride to a place on the road where she gets some cell service to call for help. And when they get back to her car, they find some men trying to break into it. Deacon just jumps straight off of his bike and goes into a melee fight club with the three dudes. They get some good punches in on him, but Deacon's essentially a one-man army. I think he was going to lose this one, though, because he hasn't really come into his own yet. The apocalypse hasn't happened. So Sarah dug around in Deacon's bag and finds a loaded pistol, and she fires a warning shot into the air. Those dudes scatter, and Sarah proceeds to freak out.
Oh, Jesus. my God. No. Oh my God.
Hey.
I'm so sorry.
No.
I don't even know. I just was looking in your bag and I saw that and oh my God, I could have killed somebody.
Well.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but you gotta kind of aim it at them first.
I've never done anything like that before.
Hey, it's okay.
I
They're
saw it
gone,
in your
they're
bag and I tried to call
You
the
did
police,
good.
but there were
You know what we're gonna
no
do?
bars,
We're
there
gonna
was
do?
no reception.
I'm gonna wait right here until your guy comes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've never done anything like that.
Could have fooled me.
This is also heavy foreshadowing for the relationship, too, which can be summed up quite neatly by the good girl, bad boy trope. Sarah is rattled, sure, but there at the end, when she says, "I've never done anything like that," can we hear just a touch of excitement? Dare I say, arousal? Looking at plants all day under a microscope or foraging for flowers in the picturesque mountains and is quite cottagecore. And riding around dirt roads on a motorcycle with a loading gun and a hot man is just so not cottagecore. But in any relationship, one will influence the other. Sarah's bright edges darken a little bit, and Deacon's bitter shade is now dappled with light. These kinds of pairings work because you need both, and it makes for a very compelling story. We love a good, unlikely love story.
We sure do. But we know where this is going, don't we? The apocalypse. It's always the apocalypse in a game, isn't it? So the game takes place after the world ends. And on the pause screen, the counter will slowly go up as you progress through the story. 799 days gone, 812 days gone, etc. Days gone past since the last day the world was still normal. So these audio clips we've heard and the next few that we'll hear, while they are in chronological order for our episode, they are all shown in flashbacks at various parts of the game. Sarah's gone, presumed dead, and these memories Deacon has are juxtaposed over the violence and death around him in the present day. The memories always have a warm tone to the visuals, whereas the present day game has that cool-toned Forks Washington vibe to it. I kind of like that they did that. But how did the world end in Days Gone?
So, why lavender?
Well, the guys at the lab are pretty excited. They think they have this subspecies, which might have mutated monoterpenoids, which produce a modified linalool that...
That is so... Oh my... Thank you, Einstein. Thank you.
Sorry. It has a chemical that we can use to synthesize a new medicine for burn patients.
Where I'm from, the only weed used for medicine is the kind that you smoke. You know, Boozer knows a guy with a farm just about 3 miles up the road.
Oh, it's great. Boozer's gonna wind up in prison and take you with him.
So what else do you guys make? Like chemical weapons, WMDs, shit like that?
No. Well, at least not me.
Yeah?
It's in my contract. None of my research can be used for military purposes.
Side note, I've been to Forks, and yes, it rained the whole time I was there. But anyways, oh, Sarah, you sweet summer child, thinking that a place that she had to specifically ask for a clause in her contract to not use her research for weapons? Did you believe that they would then honor that contract? Oh, darling. It's not totally clear how much time has passed since Deacon and Sarah met, and how long Sarah has worked at Cloverdale, that research facility, when her clearance is changed and she loses some access to parts of the lab. She is told it is some special classified project, and one of her co-workers, Dave, starts going on about a conspiracy regarding the project. Turns out Dave wasn't crazy or paranoid, but he was the canary in a mine. During this time, Deacon goes through some additional shit when he participated in the torture of a fellow member of the MC for murdering another member over drugs. Ugh. The guy's name is Jesse, and he had to be kicked out of the club. Not only that, but he had to have his tattoo removed with a blowtorch, as Deacon, Boozer, and another club member named Jim held him down. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah. It was hard. A lot of people have critiqued that scene, saying that they wish the player character had been in control of it, so you could have felt like some kind of participation in it, because it affects Deacon a lot later on in the game. But also, it works as a cutscene too. And as he should, Deacon ends up regretting how that went down, but he never told Sarah about it. I can see why. You see, Sarah has a pretty solid moral compass, and Deacon's just rested a little bit with disuse. This isn't just some hardcore biker club Jax Teller plot seasoning, but it's also directly related to Jesse, the member that got blowtorched, going feral and starting up a post-world cult called the Rippers. So that torture sequence was there to provide context for why Jesse in the present day goes wild and starts this weird cult worshiping the zombies, essentially. So they're a faction you can fight in the game and are messed up, to say the least. So yeah, it's just one more part of the game that Deacon is partly responsible for, making the world a worse place, one tattoo removal at a time, I guess. But don't worry, Sarah didn't find out back in the past, so they didn't break up or anything. And one night, Deacon takes her up to an old illegal pot farm for a romantic stroll through the marijuana plants.
Okay. This next clip is a flashback in the game, like we said, of all of the pre-zombie scenes are those of Deacon having flashbacks. It is a random moment. It is at random. We said all of the pre-zombie. Okay, there we go. This next clip is a flashback in the game. Like we said, all of the pre-zombie scenes are flashbacks Deacon is having at random moments during the game. And despite it being a pot farm, it is a beautiful spot. You'd be hard-pressed to find an ugly spot in the mountains of Oregon. And there is a waterfall at the edge of the farm that the two walk towards. As Sarah is looking at the rushing waters of the falls, Deacon does the adorable, albeit stereotypical thing of getting on one knee before she turns around.
Wow, how beautiful.
Was it worth it?
God, yes.
Hey, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
Yeah? Deacon,
Will you...
will I?
Will you, So that a yes?
On two conditions.
Name them.
Okay, well, the first one is that we don't have one of those biker weddings where you say that you're going to ride me as much as your bike.
Done. I couldn't promise that anyway.
Oh, stop. Okay, the second one The second one is that you never leave me.
Done.
God, did you just break your biker ring on my finger?
You know what? I think I probably did.
Look at it. It's so cute with its little fangs just like clenching onto the chain. You know, nothing says true love like
Dog
dog
skulls.
skulls. Hey, what does it say there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you knew Latin.
Come on.
No, it's Morior Invictus. Means death before defeat.
Wow, I like that. Well, you're gonna get me like a real ring though, right? No, that this one's not
absolutely,
great.
because
I just thought
that's my ring. You can't
right.
keep
It's your
that.
ring.
Right.
Something more simple. Without fangs.
Okay. All right.
Shit. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
It's the lab. I gotta get it.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah. No, it's fine. I'll be right there. Okay, bye.
Is everything okay?
I don't know. They need me back there. I gotta go.
This minute, like at this time of night?
I'm sorry. I have to go, but I promise I'll make it up to you.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. So really that was kind of like two scenes in one, because the first half of that was fucking adorable and I loved it. So, but then the second half is like, oh no, I've got to go, run away, back to my lab. They need me. What about you?
Well, for me, the one complaint, it's not the one complaint, but a complaint that I have about this scene and this game is like, what the fuck is a botanist going to do at like midnight, 10 p.m., whatever time it was in that scene? Like, she is a botanist. That is what she does. There's literally nothing in the world that would need her to rush to the lab, especially because considering like she doesn't exactly know what's going on. She's not working on like the hardcore stuff that they're developing at that lab, essentially. But you know, it's just, so to me, it's like later on in the game, she kind of feigns a little bit of innocence, or at least seems ignorant of what exactly was going on. But I think she was choosing to keep her head in the sand because, like, here's a clue right here that your lab is weird because you're a botanist. You're supposed to look at plants under a microscope, and ain't no way you need to be looking at plants all hours of the night and be on call like a surgeon or something. You know, like there's just no way. So that to me is, I was like, girl, come on. You're smart. You are not dumb. Don't be dumb about what's going on at your lab. But yeah, I do like this scene. I'm not actually entirely sure how old they are, but just given her level of schooling and his already like career in the army, well, one enlistment, let's be real, in the army, and he's been out for a couple years. I'm gonna guess at minimum they're late 20s, early 30s at max. I feel like in these flashback scenes, and it's been 2 years since then. So like this scene was really cute, but to me, their relationship at this point does not feel very strong. It feels extremely lust-filled, and like it's infatuation. It's not real, true love yet. It will get there. But right, and so like it's very cute, but it also kind of, I don't know, like for me, when I was watching that, I was like, I was proposed to in my early 20s. I said no because I wasn't that stupid. But like that's kind of the vibes I was getting from this, was like this like almost feels high school a little bit at this point. So it's just a whirlwind romance. That's what it feels like right now.
Especially like at this point, it doesn't feel as solidified between the two of them because they haven't been tested yet. There's nothing that shows that they can get through anything in the face of adversity together yet.
Yep.
Yeah, Deacon's had some shit go down that he's dealing with, but that had no involvement with Sarah at all. In fact, he intentionally blocked all that stuff off from her.
Yep.
So
That's something I have an issue with too at first. For much of their relationship is like he's a stranger in a lot of ways to her because he needs therapy, and I think he replaces therapy with his love for Sarah that becomes almost an obsession while you're playing the game, which we'll get into because we're not quite there yet with the apocalypse. But yeah, although I will highlight the fact we've been talking about it in the chat tonight, but we all love the way they talk to each other. Like, I don't think I've heard a game that sounds like actual people just conversationally speaking to one another, especially flirting. They do that so well in this game. It feels so believable. This game was mocapped also, like Baldur's Gate and other many games nowadays. So I think that definitely adds to the realism because they were two actors playing off one another, and you can really feel that. I think they did a really good job.
okay. So let's move on to our next little clip.
You've each prepared your own vow? Well, traditionally, the groom goes first.
I'll go first. Deacon, I'm so sorry that no one came. I guess we really pissed off everyone on both sides.
Well, I mean, not everyone.
But I want you to know that that's how much you mean to me. That I would give up anything for you. Anything. This ring is a symbol of my love. And it is precious. It has no beginning and no end. I love you.
This ring is my promise that I'm always gonna love you. And I ain't ever gonna leave you.
You may kiss the bride.
Oh, wait a second. Here, you can have this one back. But only if you promise to ride me as much as you ride your bike.
Well, I now pronounce you man and, well, wife. Okay, I'm gonna just go.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of love that. I think that this scene is actually pretty dang cute. It starts off with I can actually hear and feel the emotions that these two are sharing. Maybe there was some downtime in between, dialogue that was off screen, things that pushed their love and relationship further and closer together that we didn't really get to experience. But now we get to experience their wedding. Obviously, the priest did not want to be there after she dropped that line because, okay, in this scene, when she says that ride the bike line, she's not looking at Deacon. She looks at the priest and is like, I'm about to do something naughty in church during my wedding vows. And that to me felt a little childish, but also really fucking funny and totally something that I would have done. There's a depth of emotion in his voice too. I felt the tears. I felt them. And I love that.
Yeah. Actually, so out of context, a lot of people will take this wedding scene as a critique of the game because out of context, her saying that is so fucking cringy. Like, you're like, what the hell? But in context, because this scene happens like after you've remembered what she said previously in the previous clip, she's like, oh, I don't want a biker wedding, because like the biker, his persona as a biker is who he is. It's a huge part of his life. It's given his life structure that he really needed. So good for that. But like, I think that her saying that, while it does, it is also kind of childish looking at the priest and stuff, but also to me, it speaks of how she recognizes how important that is to him. So she's acknowledging like, okay, here's a tiny bit of a biker wedding for you because I love you and you are a biker, So I think that part was cute. Also, still cringy even with context to me, but that's not my wedding, so it's fine. As for context about when this scene occurs in the game, this flashback is happening while you are in the ruins of that little chapel in Marion Fork, which is where they got married. And it's kind of brutal because Deacon gets attacked in the middle of the flashback, and he's like having to kill these people in the church while simultaneously thinking about the last time he was probably there, which was his wedding, I think, like a happy day, kind of. But the kind of for me is that the big like red flag in this scene is the fact that literally no one in both of their lives except for Boozer showed up to their wedding. Like her parents completely disapprove of Deacon, so they did not attend her wedding. And all of Deacon's friends, because I don't think he has family. I think his parents are both dead. I don't think one of them was ever really a part of his life. So his biker gang family didn't attend because he has taken a step back from his responsibilities. He's got his nomad patch on, and they don't really like that she's pulled him away from them, which I don't understand. You need a work-life balance, right? So Boozer's the only one in attendance. Even the priest doesn't want to be there. That to me is a huge red flag. Like, you probably shouldn't marry someone that literally everyone in your life is like not for. I also don't think that they're very mature or ready for marriage at this point. Because Jen kind of talked about it earlier, but I don't think she knew I wrote this in my part of the script because we both are on the same wavelength about this. Marriage is not about finding that person you love and can imagine living your life with. Don't marry someone because you love them right now. People change, and you need to stick around for a while and go through some real shit before you can know if they're really there for you. It's kind of like marrying someone that you can love and hate in a way. Marry someone you can go through like battle with essentially, in their case, real battle. In our case, probably not. Because life is a series of high peaks and low valleys with a lot of zombies in between sometimes.
Marry the one that you can't see. What am I trying to say here? Don't marry the one you want to spend the rest of your life with. Marry the one that you can't see a life without. Yeah. So, you go through the majority of the game thinking that Sarah is dead. Deacon is broken from the loss, plus all of his traumas from war being constantly re-triggered by the horrid state of the fucking zombie world. And despite the world ending, his wife presumed dead, his motorcycle club being destroyed by the end of the world, he still wears his cut, or his battle jacket, the vest with patches that identify him as a nomad in the Mongrels Motorcycle Club. It reminds him of the time where he lived by a code, where he had a brotherhood and a camaraderie, much like he must have had with the army as well. He is extremely bitter and cynical when we first meet him as our player character, often muttering biting remarks under his breath as he listened to the radio or explored the environment. The one person he still has is Boozer. and they resort to doing what they know best in order to survive in the post-apocalyptic Pacific Northwest.
Doing what they know best involves setting explosives, doing supply runs, various mercenary type work for the various settlements in the mountains of Central Oregon. All throughout this, the story is peppered with Deacon talking about Sarah, talking to her at a makeshift gravestone he made, and the player occasionally catching glimpses of his Sarah tattoo on his neck. It would be really easy to dislike Deacon as he is in the beginning of the game. But the flashbacks and this constantly lit candle he holds for her throughout his grief, thinking she's dead, is what really humanizes him. Sarah is woven throughout his consciousness. He isn't just some gruff biker dude. We can see a different side of him here. Besides, this world he lives in is one where you have to adapt to survive. He already had the tools needed to survive this world, but Sarah, she's become a different animal altogether, and we will have to explore that after the mid-break. So let's listen to sponsors of this show, hear some fun facts, hear about Jen's list, and thank our lovely patrons.
Yes. Mid-break dance. D for Deacon, I don't know. What dances start with D other than dance? Dance Dance Revolution, some DDR up in here.
DDR. Disco.
Disco. There we go. Deacon the disco. Okay.
And Sarah could be like salsa,
Mm.
samba.
Dirty
Yeah, that's all I
dancing.
thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Deacon is voiced and mocapped by Sam Witwer. And holy shit, do I love this man. He has done a lot of voice work and other acting. He was Walter Londra in Horizon Forbidden West, Ian's dad in Mythic Quest, Darth Maul and Emperor Palpatine in many Star Wars games and the Clone Wars shows, and also as Davis Bloom in Smallville. He also had an uncredited role as a walker in The Walking Dead. He was one of the walkers in the tank that Rick gets trapped in during the first and second episodes of the first season. But for me, he will always and forever be Adrian in Being Human. A vampire trying to only feed on the consenting or on blood bags while living with a werewolf roommate and a ghost haunting their house. I fucking love Sam Witwer. So, Sarah, honey, I get it. I would let him ride me more than his bike, too. And as for my list, Sam plays a vampire. My top 3 male vampires in TV shows are Eric Northman, Spike, and Adrian.
Okay.
In that order.
Eric and Spike are my top 2, so I've never seen Being Human. I think I need to, apparently.
It's good. Oh my gosh. It's so, and specifically the American version. I didn't watch the UK version because that one came out first, and then this one is came out much later. But it is so good. So good. It's
I need to
older.
watch it.
Like,
That's fine.
but not
I'm
that
older.
old.
Okay. Next fact, which is about Sarah. She is voiced by Courtney Draper, who has also done loads of voice work. Not sure if she's ever been a vampire, but she's also acted a lot. She kind of seems to have quit acting because nothing's on her IMDb since 2020. So maybe she's taking a break or doing something. I don't know. But she was Elizabeth in the game BioShock Infinite. She was Morgan Hudson on The Jersey, which I never watched, but that had like 60-something episodes credited to her, so there you go. And then the character White Tiger in Disney Infinity. And Jen added in here that she was, of course, in an episode of Buffy, because apparently everyone was in Buffy at one point. She was a Slayer potential named Annabelle.
So not a vampire, but a vampire slayer.
Oh, there you go.
Josh Garvin, the game's creative director, named Deacon St. John the way some of us might find out our stripper names. Deacon was the name of his pet, and St. John was the street he grew up on.
When I saw that, I was like, that's for real. Come on, dude. I mean, I guess it worked. The name's pretty cool.
It's a good name.
I want to know what kind of pet Deacon was, but it didn't say in the
It's gotta be a
article I
dog.
read that in. It's probably a dog. What if it was a cat? Or like a snake or something? I don't know. Anyway, the game was made by Bend Studios, a studio developer, and is based in Bend, Oregon, which is a real town, unlike the towns in the game, pretty much. They were planning on making a second game, but for whatever reason, Sony did not greenlight a sequel, despite sales being just as good as Ghost of Tsushima and other hit games. I don't know. I accidentally muted myself. Honestly, like, people either love or hate this game, it looks like, when you look at the internet talking about it. But a lot of people liked it. So I don't really know why it didn't do that well. It's not really my thing, but it has a pretty good story. There's a lot done really well in this game. So it's kind of a shame. There's a huge cliffhanger in the epilogue cutscene that we can talk about later if you want, but it will never get explained because there won't be a second game, it looks like.
Yeah, shitty. The town of Farewell is fictional, but some of the places that you can visit in game are real world locations in Bend. Thank you, Reddit, for
Like
making us. Huh?
Oh, like Marion Forks. That is a real place near Bend, but Iron Butte's not real. Farewell is not real.
Right, but like you can see
Crater Lake.
places. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was scrolling through a Reddit article, a Reddit post about like pictures side by side comparison of in game versus real world, which was really cool.
It's a beautiful looking
Spotify.
game. Sorry.
It is. Spotify's at 185. I don't know why. But I appreciate that so very, very much. It is absolutely amazing the love that we get from our fans and the support that we get in the tiniest and simplest ways. It really does mean a lot to us. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And special shout outs, of course, go to Toasty and Apollo, Becky and Daddy Bat Night, Stone Mystios and Muffiny Cake, Win, Evie from HR, Lavelany, and Magister Davida. Big heart, major loves, all the thank. Yay.
Yes, thank you so much for giving us money in exchange for our thoughts and time. It's really cool. Thank you for supporting us. It's hard out here in the apocalypse. Oh wait, we haven't hit the apocalypse yet. I forgot. I mean, in the real world, in the game we have. So, back to Days Gone. Unlike most of our games we've talked about recently, there isn't exactly a lock-in scene for the romance. I mean, Deacon's already married Sarah, and he thinks she's dead for like 2/3 of the game. He's lived with this as his reality for over 2 years now. So isn't it just a surprise when, about, like I said, 2/3 of the way through the game, roughly 20 hours, he goes to the Deschutes County Militia, and lo and behold, he finds Sarah. And it turns out she thought he was dead this whole time, too.
Lieutenant Whitaker, this is Corporal St. John. He's a new member of Corey's unit. He's got some experience out in the shit.
Read this.
What?
Read this. I mean, you can read, can't you?
Active ingredients: chloroform, aterpenol, benzoyl alcohol, ethyl acetate.
Good enough. When can he start?
Ah, I'll leave you to it. Carry on, Lieutenant.
Leave us.
Sarah.
Stand at attention.
Sarah,
Don't. No, you're dead. You're dead. You're supposed to be dead.
Hey.
You're dead.
It's okay.
You're dead.
I'm right here.
Wait a second. I don't understand. I couldn't find
thought that
you.
you had died, and
No, we were overrun,
Who's overrun?
and we had to go south. Nero, they
Yeah,
said
Nero,
that no one
no, I
made it
found
out.
O'Brien, and I
Farewell
found a
was
way
overrun. They said that everybody
over the
was
mountain,
dead.
and I didn't think that
I never thought I would
I
see
would
you
ever
again.
see you again. Hey, listen, we can ride out of here. We'll pick a direction. We won't look back. Come on.
No, Deacon. I can't.
Are they forcing you to stay here?
No, you don't understand. We're fighting a war. Don't you see? This is a war that we can win.
I didn't come here to fight a war.
I can be helpful. I can make a difference, but I can't go with you. I have to stay here. Don't you get it? You can stay here with me. Help me. Look, afterwards, whatever you say, we can go wherever you want.
Colonel's looking for you.
Whatever you say, man.
Wait a second. Your requisition form. Thank you, soldier.
I love this. I thought that it was really good because it felt real. I love the fact that this game allows their characters to talk over each other. When it comes to dialogue where you're openly conversing with somebody, it's not perfect. Yeah, when V and I are talking to each other, we really try to never speak over each other because we do a fucking podcast. But you get us in a real world setting where it's a group of people around us. There could be 3 conversations going on and we're all talking over each other and listening and laughing at jokes that aren't even involved with us, but we don't get that in a video game. But we do here. And it made this scene seem real. I felt it. The way that they have been surviving since the fall of the world truly highlights their main differences. Deacon is a lost soul, having found safe harbor with Sarah. Losing her meant that he returned to his drifter ways and falling back on old skills and honing his bitter edge. Sarah, on the other hand, she adapted. She lost herself in her work and learned how to survive this new world. She moved on in a lot of ways that Deacon definitely did not.
Yeah, a lot of people actually really criticize this scene, thinking like she's such a bitch. And the only criticism I had for the scene was he didn't stand at attention. So
No.
I think she asked him to.
I
He just
noticed
stood
that
there
too.
stupidly. But yeah, no, I think I'll get into this. It was very realistic to me the way that it played out. So Deacon, his whole time, these last 2 years, he's been clinging to the memory of who Sarah was. And now that he's found her again and the game progresses, he has a hard time adjusting to who she has become. It doesn't help that Deacon is first introduced back to her with this crazy religious colonel. Like that whole thing is a whole thing with the militia. We're not really going to get into it in this episode. So enough to say that when he brings Deacon in, she may not have been sure about Deacon's loyalties at first because the colonel's a psycho. Sarah is there with the militia because it gives her the safety and the access to supplies and equipment to do her work. But this reunion moment was not a stunning orchestral crescendo romantic Hollywood moment. They didn't rush into each other's arms. I think this was realistic. They are shell-shocked. And they're also not alone. They are very careful to not let the militia learn that they know each other. Like she said, she can't just leave. She feels she has an obligation to continue her research. And honestly, that's the kind of selfless attitude we need from people with the education, skills, or otherwise ability to make a difference, apocalypse or not. Idiocracy, anyone? So Deacon doesn't have a plan at all, other than, hey girl, let's ride off into the sunset and never look back. At least not yet.
This pressure and awkwardness in this scene tells us that their marriage is not what it used to be. This is where the main bulk of their romance arc actually happens. This second falling in love. This is a second narrative over the first, but intrinsically tied to the main plot of surviving the new world. Sarah has hope of fixing the world, and Deacon can help her. We will see how the two of them learn who they are again and how they fall back in love. But it doesn't start out easy at all. Deacon seems to be clinging to who she was, and Sarah just seems over it. She quite literally has bigger things to worry about than if her marriage is okay. This next clip is when the two of them head out on a mission together, and Sarah stops at her quarters to get some supplies.
Oh, nice place. It's got that woman's touch.
Right. I'm hardly ever here, and most nights I usually spend it on a cot in the lab.
Look at this. This'll get the job done.
It was a gift from Matt when I first joined up.
Matt?
The Colonel. Oh, Jesus, come on, Deacon. It's just a gun.
This is such a stark contrast to how she behaved the last time we saw her holding a gun, where she scared off the three guys trying to steal her broken down car. The day Deacon met Sarah. This is also directly addressed in another questline where Sarah and Deacon are raiding her old workplace, the Cloverdale lab, for supplies. And she kills an old coworker who is hiding there. Deacon is literally left standing there, mouth open in shock at how different Sarah is.
You all right?
Am I all right?
What's wrong with you?
Oh, I don't know. It's just that I remember the day that I met you. You fired my gun in the air to scare off those rednecks, and you're so scared you couldn't stop shaking.
Yeah, well, lots changed since then.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I think the facial animations are also extremely well done. Also, it's mocap, but like the literal open mouth stare of shock was so well done. He's just like, he cannot even believe who his wife has become. And yeah, it's going to take him a little bit longer to accept that change. So this final part of the game is essentially just trying to finish Sarah's research project, which Deacon doesn't even know what it is at this point, but she has been telling the militia that it is a weapon against the freakers, aka zombies. She needs Deacon's help because he knows a way over the mountains to get to Cloverdale, and she's hoping that she can find a DNA synthesizer there. He's also been there as a witness when she finally realized that her research was used for military weaponry. I mean, duh. Sorry, Sarah, your contract wasn't good enough. And her research is partially responsible for the end of the world. She takes this rather hard, of course, but it's ultimately not really her fault. She wasn't directly making the weapon. So that's where this audio clip that we just listened to happened, was when she was leaving the Cloverdale lab. And it's when Deacon, I think, finally understands who his wife has become. The end of the world tends to change you, but he still loves her. And honestly, I think he fell more in love with her afterwards.
Now, there is a sex scene that is a fade to black that happens right after this. And while very short, it deserves its moment. Caught in a blizzard, they find an abandoned hunting cabin to shelter in for the night. Their clothes are soaked, so they strip down and sit in front of the fire. The air not only crackles with the flames, but with the anticipation and a bit of trepidation. These are two people who have been intimate before, but were separated by time and tragedy.
It's clear. Are you gonna come out and eat something?
Yeah, just a second. Everything I had is soaking wet. Excuse me. I never thought I'd get warm again.
Yeah.
Did you want to eat something, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. God, I'm not even hungry.
Yeah, neither am I. You cold? Come here, come here.
He is holding her and bringing her in for the warms. And then it turns to, oh, I'm holding my wife. And he kisses her. She is more than willing. She lies down on her back and, hello, leg lift. But that's all. It fades to black there.
Well, sorry, I was messaging Yuri Cat.
I was like, you've got like 3 messages going on all at once.
Yeah. Well, I was messaging chat, but responding to Yuri Cat, I guess. And and Apollo. I just saw both their comments.
And me, you left me a comment on the script, so
I
yeah.
did, yeah. I'm a multitasker, what can I say? Okay, so oh my god, I'm sorry. I just had the urge to cough. Anyway, so you know what I was thinking while you were talking about this scene is that we have often talked about how we want to see games with romance of like an established relationship. And this is exactly that. Like, this is such, to me, this is really the strength of this game, is watching their marriage come back together, watching them fall back in love with each other and accept who they are now, which is, at least in Sarah's case especially, very different than who they were before the apocalypse. Normal to change after that happens. And I think that's just great. I don't know. I want more of that. I love that. It's like I said, to me, the best part of the game is this relationship. It's honestly the only real relationship Deacon kind of has besides Boozer anyway. I think he needs some more friends, but we'll get into that later. Something that rubs me the wrong way, not about the game itself, but just like our society and patriarchy, honestly, is for the last 2 years, both Deacon and Sarah are mourning, but Deacon's grief from people outside of him, they're framing it as, slightly delusional, sure, but something to pity ultimately. A sad thing. Oh no, poor Deacon, his wife died. Sarah is also grieving the loss of Deacon. Her husband, she thinks, is dead. And that earned her the nickname of the Wizard Island Witch. That was her warding off the advances of some of the men in the militia over time. Her general disdain for anything other than her work, which is the only thing that brought her any kind of peace because of her grief. That led to her gaining a reputation of a cold and insufferable bitch, the Wizard Island Witch. And even in the real world, a lot of players tend to think poorly of Sarah due to her seemingly lackluster response to seeing Deacon again and, just everything afterwards. They don't really like her. But honestly, Sarah is carrying the story for me. What she's doing really matters. And you know who else knows that? Deacon. He truly knows that. It's really where his character starts to shine for me, the support he gives his wife for her work.
Yes. A man who stands by his woman and says what you are doing is way more important than us just riding off into the sunset together.
Yeah. This next clip is where I'm like, okay, I really like Deacon now, And it's pretty late in the game, honestly.
Yeah.
And Boozer, he's he was just trying to keep me together for the next 2 years. But I didn't give a shit about any of it. And then I see this Nero chopper flying around in the sky, and I start to feel something. I'm thinking, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. Because even if she is alive, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find her, we're going to ride away, we're never going to look back. Because I don't want to be part of some militia. I don't want to fight in a war, and I don't want to live in some camp.
So why are you still here?
Because of you. All of this, seeing how hard you work, seeing how dedicated you are. Most people out there are just trying to survive, and here you are. Trying to save the goddamn world.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing a very good job.
So you get up, you dust yourself off, and you try again.
Yes. I'm in. I'm Deacon. I'm here for you. I am here for Deacon. I am here for Sarah. I am in this game now. I don't even like zombie shooters, but I'm willing to play this fucking game now. Like,
Dude, I wish we could have played the entire scene, but so much of it is also visual. You guys, if you have not played this game, and I don't blame anyone for not wanting to play this game because I haven't either. I've just watched my husband play it many times, honestly, and I'm not really into the fighting style. But if you want to just watch the scenes on YouTube, just to see, it is so well done. She's come up with a research failure again, where she thought she had it, and then it turned out to blow up in her face, almost literally. And she's really down. And that's the other part of this, is not only is he supporting her, he's encouraging her. And he knows she may be the only person who could have any kind of hope of curing the zombie outbreak, because it was partly her research that led to it in the first place. And he's right there. He doesn't want to be there. He hated being in the military. He doesn't like taking orders. He's in a militia for her. He's doing, you know what I mean? It's not, and he's not throwing it in her face in a way that's resentful. I'm doing this for you. He's literally telling her, you've inspired me to be here. You're so inspirational in your dedication that I am now here too. That's what's so great about this.
Such a key difference between I'm here because of you, or no, I'm here because you inspired me to be here. I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I really like it. I love it. You guys should watch it if you haven't seen it.
Didn't you say there's 6 hours of cutscene in this game though?
Oh, right. I wanted to mention that. Yeah, this game, I think in total is probably a 40 or 50 hour game, but 6 of those hours are just cutscenes. It's a movie. I wish it was a movie, honestly. It's so well done. I mean, yeah, it's kind of I guess, doesn't Final Fantasy do that too? Just inundate you with cutscenes. But but it's worth it. It's so pretty to look at. And the acting is just so good in this game. And there's very nice, awesome, compelling side characters too. That's something we haven't even touched on because we're really just talking about Sarah and Deacon's relationship. But there is a character you can meet, and I've seen when my husband's been playing it. Her name is Ricky, and there's some romantic sexual tension between her and Deacon, but he just never takes her up on it because, and Ricky can tell, he still loves his wife. And this is before he even knew she's alive still. So like there's a bunch of other relationships that can happen. And that's something that I was critical of Deacon for in the beginning, is that he doesn't allow anyone in. He's just so broken. That's why I chose part of that scene where he said, I don't feel anything. And then I saw, because the Nero helicopter is what he put Sarah on at the very beginning, the last day when the world ended. He thought he was putting her on a helicopter to safety. And then he finds out that helicopter crashed. She must be dead. Nero is like this agency that kind of tried to take control and didn't ultimately, but they still have like technology. Obviously, they've got helicopter flying around. And there's another character you talk with all throughout the game that's a member of Nero named O'Brien. But like, to me, it's like that spoke so much of how broken and traumatized and just like such a gray world he must have been living in until he had that glimmer of hope again that she was there.
Yeah. So the end of this game is kind of a happy one, with a bit of an epilogue cutscene that hints at a second game. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that sequel will ever get made. So the real end of the story is essentially that the militia colonel went crazy, captured Deacon, and spouted some wild shit about the devil at him. And then the second in command dude sets him free so he can go off into the sunset with Sarah, like Deacon always wanted. But some faction things happened between the settlement of Lost Lake and the Wizard Island militia base, so there was a big old war at the end of the game. They came together to defeat the baddies. And then, and only then, does Deacon finally get his chance to ride off into the sunset. I know we're going fast, but honestly, none of that is too important when it comes to the relationship between Sarah and Deacon. The relationship boils down to Sarah's goals and Deacon's ability to help her realize them. The end of the game is where their goals finally align.
I thought you weren't going to do a speech.
Yeah, I screwed up. How was it?
You know, it was all right for an outlaw biker.
Outlaw biker, huh? Are you ready to ride, old lady?
I don't know, depends. Where are we going?
Wherever the hell we want.
It's just cute, but also loses me a little bit 'cause of all the biker stuff. It just like reads so campy, and there's like this trope name called XB, where it's literally just where a character is essentially an exact copy of another character from something, just put in a different universe and named something else. And that's kind of Deacon. Like, he's in a lot of ways just Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy. But it's fine. I think it's still good enough. Like, it's fun. We haven't had a biker zombie game before. Why not? You know, like there's no original thoughts anymore. But yeah. So the thing is there's a lot of people who are like, Deacon doesn't deserve a happy ending, and this is what he gets in this. I don't know why anyone would think that. Like, it's everyone. I feel like most people deserve some kind of happy ending, especially when they've gone through so much shit, like a zombie apocalypse. But the end is definitely like campy, and I can't tell if that's because so many modern games now are just so emotionally draining and heavy and dark, like Last of Us type, where it's like, oh my god, I'm not okay for 2 weeks after I finish this game. I just need to process my emotions. This game doesn't leave you feeling like that, and I don't think that means it's a bad game. I think it's good to have a happy ending now and then. Like I said, there is this cut scene where it hints at like, oh, the zombie outbreak's actually going to get worse and nothing matters. And it's O'Brien telling you this, and he like choppers away, and Deacon's just like, what the fuck? Like at the end, and that's it. And we'll never know what that was going to be because they're not making a second one. So for me, this scene where they essentially what happens is, like Jen said, they defeat the militia. He gives a little speech, and then they're like, biker slang, let's drive into the sunset. The end. I think that should have been where the game ended. It should have just been that. It's fine. You know, that's the happy ending. My final thoughts are like, I think for me at first, Deacon didn't really have a character arc at all because at first, for most of the game, he's literally just a worse version of who he was. He doesn't grow, he doesn't feel, and then he also is kind of too obsessed with his wife, like because he put so much stock into her balancing his mental health. And then I think somehow, beyond all odds, when they reunite and he finally gets on board with what she's doing and is there for her, that's when I'm like, this shit's fire. I love this. That is character growth to me because Deacon up until then has literally only wanted to ride off into the sunset. He says it so many times. That's all he wants to do, and now he doesn't. So she didn't solve the zombie apocalypse, but they did something. They defeated the militia, I guess. Same difference. So now they're both ready to ride off into the sunset, I guess. The point is he waited till she was ready to, and I like that. So I think it's cute. I like their relationship a lot. I think that was a huge, like it carried a lot of the game for me. It's a very good romance. I'd like to see more things like that where it's, it's not your traditional lovey-dovey thing, which is fine and well as well. But this was cool. This felt like real life,
It did. It very much felt like real life. And I really liked the way that the dialogue played out. I really like how, yeah, okay, it did feel a little bit in the beginning like he had this obsession with his dead wife. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I hate that so much. Sorry. But also, in the end, he took her off of the pedestal and really saw her for her and still loved her. And I really liked that. She wasn't this perfect being that he held in his memory anymore. She was a real full person, and he still loved her. And she still loved him once he saw her for everything she truly is. So
yeah, because she changed the most, and like there are ugly parts of her that he never had seen before. She had never needed to be like that before. And he did not even take it in stride. Like he had to come to terms with it, and you visually see his struggle. He talks about it, his facial expressions, like all of that. You're like, he's really struggling with it at first,
which is real.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really liked that dynamic, and the fact that he was mature enough to then go, okay, this is who you are. I still love you. I see, like he fell in love with her in a different way, like with her passion for trying to save the world. That part was still there because she was always very altruistic and kind, that I think is why he fell in love with her to begin with, because often, the darkness is attracted to the light. There's that saying, opposites attract, which I'm not totally sure if that's true, but I do think that like the people who are broken, they find the people who are not broken. And sometimes that's not always a good thing, but like for me, that worked out where, you find your different brokenness and you just fit your broken pieces together and it's good. It works sometimes, and not always, but in here it did. I've experienced it in real life. Other games like, Astarion is a good example. I love those kinds of romances, clearly. I don't know if anyone knows that about me.
As for the opposites attract trope, it very much is true, but it has to be the correct opposites in order for attraction to work. If your core belief systems are completely opposite, that's not going to work. But you and I are very opposite in a lot of ways, but we work together. This dynamic works, but that's because a lot of our core beliefs are similar. And then a lot of personality traits are opposite. And that's why we work.
Yeah. Our 50-year marriage is going strong.
And so is Sarah and Deacon.
Mhm.
All right. Do you want to do your last insert?
I don't know. He didn't text me back. So, because I don't think so. Should I call him? Should I get up and go get him? I don't know. My husband wanted to maybe say something about this, but I mean, also, oh, he just texted me back. Do you want to come on the podcast?
No, you have to ask it in the dirtiest fashion ever. Hey, do you want to come on the girls?
Wow. Come on, the girls. CUM. All I have are the little text bubbles. He's typing some. Oh, it stopped. Oh, it's back. Nice. It's time. Obviously, we need to edit this out.
I know. I said that in an offhanded
fun.
comment to Toasty, like, hey, do you want to come on the girls next Friday? And then he was like, wait, what? You can't just say it like that. And I was like, I totally
can.
didn't mean it.
I just did. You know what I think I'll do is I'll just let him. You can. Ow, Mary. What the hell? Sorry, my cat just gripped my abdomen with his claws. Here, you can sit here. You can talk to Kyle. That way I can go mother.
Okay. Go give baby kisses for me.
Jen will interview you. I will mother.
I have never been in this seat.
Well, hello. Welcome on. You've been on the show before, though. So
I have. It was a different setup, for better or for worse. It was a different setup.
It was a different setup. I kind of like this idea better, though. Last time it was a little bit of a chaos.
It was very chaotic because we did not go into. We should have practiced it ahead of time, and I think we even talked about it that day. And we decided, you know what, we're very smart people, and we can wing it.
Yeah, that doesn't work out.
Did not work out in our favor. So one of the things that I overheard that I will disagree is that I think Deacon had a huge character arc from the fact that he went from an individual who made fun of campers or the people who lived in camps, and how he only wanted to ride north. He wanted to ride north with Boozer or William, however, his best friend. And he completely slowly changes. You can be doing missions with like the Copeland's camp, which is one of your little allies. And you will start changing, well, Deacon will start changing his phraseology, and will start saying, well, we need to keep the Rippers, or one of the bad guys from the first part of the game, off of our land. And even Copeland will make comments about how if you keep that up, you'll become a camper. And, you know, as it's almost like a running joke that he does change he starts slowly growing on the idea of staying and building up something. And I think Ricky, the individual who he does have sexual tension with, I think he and her, I think she grows on him about it, because she did previously ride with them. And she kind of brings the betterment out of him, of the positives of having a lifestyle inside of it, inside of like four walls, or they're, I guess, surrounded by a lake for them.
Okay, so with Sarah, we see a big shift in her personality, where, you know, she's the girl who's afraid to hold the gun in the beginning, and shooting it once freaks her out, to where at the end she's very confident with her weapon and very assertive in everything that she wants to do. But with Deacon, you feel like it's a little bit more of a subtle shift, but it's just like a character arc that you can see when you're really truly playing the game in all of its fullness.
Yes, I mean, Sarah went from a college graduate to meeting this outlaw biker who was, on one fringe of the society where she was on the other side of society. And I think they do bring out the best of each other. She becomes more of a street smart individual. And she had, you'll hear subtle conversations that he has with other people about how she had convinced him to go back to school so that he could be better educated. And obviously that didn't, go to plan due to the end of the world, but she did bring out some of the better in him. And I think I think he brought something out of her. I don't know what, just off the top of my head, but I think she was something.
Yeah. Brought a little bit more edge to her. I definitely felt that.
Yes. She does still panic, I think, when they had to go to the university. When they had to go to the university and they had to get the device that kind of separated I don't know what the centrifuge thing, I don't know what it's called. She got stuck in a room full of freaks, and she definitely had like a small panic attack. So I think she has built herself up to hold herself strong against like the fellow men counterpart of how she's had to fight off those other advances from some of the other guys. And I think Matt or the colonel had protected her and kind of viewed her as a daughter, which is why he gave her a weapon and why I think he allowed her to experiment for as long as she did without having any real results. But I think she grew up in that aspect. I think she kind of did not grow up to handle the life of living beyond the wire or outside of the wire for any other military veteran that might listen.
Yeah. So this was a game that was put on the list at your request. And it was a game, I think my husband has played it also. I haven't, I'm not fully sure. But it was one that I hadn't played. But now after going through this episode, it really does feel like a game that I'm going to want to pick up because it's a pre-established relationship. These aren't young kids surviving the apocalypse together. No, this is an established married couple trying to figure out their way through the apocalypse. And that's where I feel like I'm at in my point in life now, trying to figure out this crazy world right now.
It brings a lot of emotion. I think there was a few sad parts in the game. Just hearing how they talked about, I think they mentioned Portland, they mentioned Fairfield, they mentioned, I think, a few other Eugene, other cities that are in Oregon, and how they no longer exist. And it's sad to think about that is their reality, and that survival is on the top of their priority, not the comforts of everyday luxuries. I mean, that was one of the things that kind of Ricky was flirting with Deacon a lot. Was she was training to be, I think, a mechanical engineer, some type of engineer, and she was fixing the electricity to their camp. And one of the very first things that she wanted to do was to take a hot shower. And she kind of flirtatiously mentions it, I think, on like 3 occasions to him, like directly to him. And there was like a moment where he got mildly injured and she was going to bandage him up, and it got a little bit too intense for Deacon, and he kind of just casually stepped away because she was in a relationship with the camp's doctor.
Okay. So there's a little bit of side intrigue and everything like that going on with it too. I think this game's definitely one that I'm going to have to check out.
It's a fun little game, and I'm disappointed that it most likely will never have a sequel. If you like zombie games, it's not one of those games kind of like Fallout-ish where the bad guys don't level up with you. They all stay the same, and at any given moment, like one mistake on your behalf that could easily really injure you. And you get a motorcycle, and you had to upgrade everything. Like, there's better quality weapons, and not everybody has bullets. And I don't know. It's a fun game. There's not a whole lot, in my mind. There's not like a lot of Radiant Quest that some games out there have a lot of. Mainly looking at Fallout right now, and one of the last Mass Effect Andromeda had a lot of Radiant Quest, in my opinion. As I wear a Mass Effect hoodie right now, so
my hoodie's right there. All right. Yep. I think I'm officially sold on I'm going to be playing this game after I finish the 3 games that I currently have in queue. But
it's like reading. You find a good book, and it's like, I'll read this one after the other 3 that I'm currently.
Exactly. I have to finish my Astarion run though. I have to. I'm there. I decided to play as him this time.
Oh, I still haven't made a character in Baldur's Gate 3.
Eventually, we will get you to play this game.
I doubt it, but maybe. I may make a character, because I do enjoy making a character, but I don't know if I can get used to the turn-based stuff.
That's valid. The battle style in BG3 is something that you have to want to play in order to do it, or else you will never get through the game. So
I don't mind watching.
Oh.
I will gladly watch V, and
I'm not touching that statement.
Oh. I see what I did.
All right. I think on that note, this might be a good spot for us to wrap it up here, unless you have any final thoughts on Sarah and Deacon that you want to share.
I loved it. It was one of my favorite romances of all the games that I've played. It's a game that I personally put a lot of hours into. They're a favorite couple of mine. It's up there with KOTOR and Knights of the Old Republic, with Revan and Bastila. For my favorite romances in games, that's why I suggested it to V, was because I absolutely love the game, and I felt like, as a new member of the PNW family, it really felt more at home here, and so yeah, that's it. It's been one of my favorite romances for all of them,
and I totally see why. And I appreciate it. So thank you. I love the idea of playing a game that has at least a little bit to do with, it's set in Oregon, it's set in Bend. I never go to Bend, but hearing about Portland in video games is always cool. Unless Fallout. Don't read Fallout lore for Portland. It's bad. Very, very bad.
Ooh, I've never done that, but now I feel like I have to.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to wrap up, but thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Benny said he likes to watch.
Aw. You like to watch? I like to watch him play Days Gone.
He said he likes to watch you play Baldur's Gate.
Oh. Well, yeah, he likes to watch me smooch Astarion over and over and over again.
Oh, all right. Well, I was about to do our wrap-up plugs for the night. So,
sounds good.
If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to leave a review on iTunes or on Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can now find me on the Cyberpunk Lorecast with my co-host Toasty, where we explore the foundations of the past, the state of Night City today, and the news of the future for all things cyberpunk. Check out Scyther Audio's newest fan-made production, The Avengers, the audio drama, where you can find me and several of our podcasting friends. You can reach me in our Two Girls One Ship channel on the Robots Radio Discord, and come give us a follow on all the social medias and on patreon.com/2girls1ship. Our theme music was comprised by the ever-talented... I said comprised again. Our theme music was composed by the ever-talented Pipeman Studios, and our artwork was designed by the esteemed Let's Not. Links are in the description.
Sorry, I think my kid just yelled. I told her to go to her room. Okay. I'm on the Robots Radio Discord as well, and on our own Two Girls One Ship Discord server where we nerd out on all our favorite CGI significant others. Be sure to check out our live streams on Twitch, Fridays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Our podcast episodes release on Mondays because you need a little good thing on a Monday.
So thanks for listening, and remember,
beauty is in the eye of the controller.
Yay!
Woohoo!
All right, you go take care of your babies, my love, and I will see you next week.
Okie doke for patron chat time.
Patron
Are we done streaming? Because
not yet. So good night,
good
stream.
night, everybody.
Bye.